And good afternoon, everybody. It is bang on 4 o'clock. It is Wednesday, the 19th of March. No, it's not March, it's February.
Always ahead.
Yeah, not just thinking ahead of the game. 19th of February. My name is Ross. For those people who don't know me, I run actonthis.tv. If you're an actor and you want to earn more out of your career, you want to work on TV, you want to actually run a profitable business as an actor, make sure you've got your membership. Get yourself over to actonthis.tv. After this, though, not now. We sit down every single week, basically with the biggest casting directors, agents, actors, writers, directors, and producers in TV, and we dive deep, really deep, like 2-hour, 2.5-hour sessions on the business of this business. If we bring a casting director on, how you can get in front of them for auditions. If it's an agent, how you can sign with them. A director like Dermot Goggins, we had on last night, director of brand new ITV drama Code of Silence, how you can get on his casting radar. He even gave his email address away. He was looking for people's show reels. Yeah, actonthis.tv, check it out. This is mindset coach, high performance mindset coach. I should say world record breaking high performance mindset coach, Mr. Matt Hall, joining us today. And we go live a couple of times a week. Normally I have producer Petch on. He's not very well today, so he's not here with us. But we decided we would go live today, Matt, didn't we? To talk all about acting, actors, their psychology, their mindsets, their belief system. And I said 3 big mindset mistakes that I'm seeing actors make. But actually, when we were talking about it just before we went live, we think we've got about 10, haven't we, Matt?
At least.
So we're going to go through them today. And we've made this, we made this, well, we didn't make this phrase up, but we've adopted this phrase from Alex Hormozi, a great business coach. And we said before we went live, Matt, that we're going to be kind today, not necessarily like nice. Doesn't mean we're going to be unnice or horrible, whatever the opposite of that would be. But I think sometimes we just need to like talking truths, don't we? We need like some brutal honesty.
I think so. I think what we've come to learn over many years is that people, they might know the strategy, they know what they need to do, but the thing that gets in the way is not the lack of knowledge, is not the lack of talent, is not the lack of contacts in the industry. It always comes down to mindset. So we have to get really real about that, because as we've said before, when we run Bulletproof Actor, which is a course that we run for actors, we always say it's not the easiest one to sell out of the different things that you do, because it's not the, as we say, quote unquote, like the sexy sell. It's like, first TV role fast track. It's like, what if I do a course with Ross and Petch? They're going to help me get my first TV job. Woohoo! And it's this thing of being led by, if I just know the answers, the strategies, the steps to take, all my answers and prayers will come true and I'll get all the jobs. But actually, you can be given those steps, and if you don't have the right attitude, the right mindset, the strategies doesn't matter. So I've come to learn a lot about what I do in the work, as a coach, as a strategist, a lot of the work that you do. It's not about just motivating people. It's not about just giving them the strategy. It's actually helping them get out of their own way mentally. And I mean that with respect, because we're all human, right? And we all go through stuff, and we all frame things in the wrong way of, oh, life's too hard, and oh, maybe I'm not good enough, and self-doubt and fear of judgment and fear of failure. All this stuff is completely normal and natural. The question is, does it serve you? Like constantly beating yourself up mentally, constantly thinking the industry's too hard, there's not enough opportunities, I'm not good enough, maybe I should quit. Does that serve you thinking like that? And if not, that's the thing we need to address, is the wiring going on up here. So we just said, let's do this today on mindset, right? And let's try and help as many people as we can.
Yeah, and we will take Q&A on it as well, like as we go through this, folks. If you're joining us on YouTube, you can put your comments in the chat. We can bring them up literally on the screen like this. I can say, "All right, Matthew, how you doing, mate? Thanks for joining us." Let us know like the things that you might be struggling with. You think in your own mindset, psychology, belief system. Are you getting in your own way? I do honestly not just think this or not just believe this. I know this to be true. That mindset is very often the third piece of the puzzle that so many actors are missing. They generally have, and we'll talk about this in a minute because I think this is one of the problems. They generally have the talent required to get their first job on TV. I see it so many times. I see members of actonthis.tv. I see actors that I meet out on the street or in theatres, just around and about. And I've seen them perform. I've watched their show reels. I know they are more than good enough to be landing auditions and booking jobs, right? They might even know the business side of things because they're a member of Act On This. We focus on the business side of stuff. So they might know exactly how to package up their material, their market material, get it out in front of people who can give them opportunities. But if their mindset is broken, they either stop doing that because they don't get an instant result. They don't want to do it through self-doubt. They procrastinate. They walk around with this crazy anxiety. So when they do get an opportunity, they flunk it. They walk into an audition or a self-tape, because they get that opportunity through having the talent and the business side, but the mindset screws them up where they go, I just blew it, and we've all experienced that. Let me know in the chat if you are here live, or if you're watching the replay, please leave a comment as well. Let me know if you know the feeling, because I do. I did this in my early career before I really got a handle on this stuff. If you know the feeling of going into a casting office, doing an audition that you did perfectly at home in your bedroom, you ran the lines 20 times on the train, and you had it down, and you fucked it up in that audition room because you were against yourself. You saw someone in the reception who you thought was more famous than you, had more profile than you, better looking than you, better this, that, and whatever you think, you think, again, you're betting against yourself. You walked into that room, you screwed it up, you knew you didn't give yourself justice, and you have to walk down the stairs. It's that walk, Matt, out of that building. It's lonely as hell. You're walking down there going, and I just traveled for 2 hours on a train, by the way. The 5 minutes that I had in that, I messed it up. All that prep, that I did, all of those rehearsals at home that I did, on the train that I did, the 2-hour commute, I've walked in that room, and the 5 minutes that I had to make it count, I messed it up. And you walk down the stairs, literally wanting to punch yourself in the face. And it's because you got in the way of yourself. Right? So let us know if you agree with that, folks, or if you've ever experienced
I just
that.
want to say, Ross, a couple of things. First thing is, you just reminded me, actually, of a great story, which is, a memory of the first ever TV, because for those who don't know, back in the day when I was a kid, when I was a teenager, I used to be an actor as well.
I liked it. And you did some great jobs, mate. Great jobs.
Yeah.
Who remembers Heartbeat? Put it in the chat. Matt killed his mum on Heartbeat.
Yeah.
It was Heartbeat you did that, didn't it?
It was, yeah. But the very first TV job I actually got, really interesting. I'd forgotten this story until you were just talking then. But that was that audition you're talking about. I remember I would have been 16, 17, something like that. I'd been doing classes for years. And I remember leaving Yorkshire Television, the studios, the entrance there.
Yep.
Coming out there at the entrance, and my dad going, my dad, bless him, had taken me to the audition. How did it go? I went, I don't want to talk about it. Can we just go? And he's like, what? I went, just forget it. I'm just shit. Hate this, rubbish, whatever. No joke. It's the first TV job I got. I got the role. And I had that perspective, right? So the first thing I want to say about that is a lot of it's just in our head anyway. Often it might not be quite as bad as we thought. It's just we get in our head and we beat ourselves up and we see the worst in it. And we know we did a version that was better, but maybe what we did was still great in its own right. And maybe it was unique and more spontaneous and it was different. And the way you tripped over that line, but you managed to pick it back, actually made it more intriguing and interesting and different, right? So a lot of it's just what we tell ourselves in our head. The other thing, though, that I wanted to hone in on based on what you said there is, you've just said there, you felt it. I've just said, I felt it. I'm sure there's people watching now that have felt it. And here's the thing. Some of the most successful actors in the world have felt it as well. That thing of knowing they've screwed up. So then the question we've all got to reflect on now is, what's the difference between those who succeed and those who don't? It's not the absence of messing up. It's not the absence of failing, of getting it wrong, of having a bad audition. It's simply, how do we choose to frame that mentally? Do we allow that to then dent our self-confidence? Do we then make ourselves feel like we should quit, we're not good enough? And then that plays out in the next audition with our general energy? Or do we go, screw it, everybody goes through that. Maybe it wasn't as bad as I thought, let's keep moving, it's just part of the journey. It's that, right? And we know it's that logically, but mentally and emotionally, are we following that path? Or are we beating ourselves up? Because that's what's going to play out.
It's building the mental resilience. And you might come out and you might be beating yourself up more than you need to, but we have had those auditions where genuinely it has been shit. I know, I've been into auditions back in the day when I didn't have a grip on my mindset, where I put so much onus on the outcome of that audition that you forget all of your lines. You're focusing on all of the wrong stuff because your mindset is broken. You're really not focusing on the right stuff. So of course, the ones who go on to succeed learn from that. Go, hang on a minute, right? The thing that I might be missing here is actually getting a grip on my thoughts, my emotions, being in control of my emotions rather than my emotions being in control of me. Because as an actor, the one thing you should be in control of is your emotions. You shouldn't be led by them and completely, overwhelmed by them. You should be in control of those because that's what you're bringing in your performance. But yeah, I just think people forget about that side of it. They do focus on the acting classes. Right, I'm going to go and just focus on my craft. They focus on, some who are savvy, who are members of Act On This, focus on the business side of things, so they get plenty more opportunity. But I do think the one thing that a lot of people just neglect is mindset. And ironically, I think it's probably the most important thing, because it is the thing that allows you to push through those difficult times, Matt, allows you to go on, learn from those mistakes, implement new strategies, new tactics, and actually improve.
My first ever audition was when I was about 10, and that wasn't one of those that you said where I just in my head thought it was bad. No, it was bad, right? Get this, first ever TV audition. It's like a big moment. Oh my God, I'm auditioning for TV. And I was 10 years old, and I was going through the script with my mum. And as I was halfway through the script, they called me in. So I goes in with the script and it gets there and we're talking. Now I'd learnt the first few pages. So we're going through it. And then I got to the point where I need to reference the script. But my script was still on like page 7 or whatever from when I was running it with my mum. So it was on a and I went down to, and I was like, oh, and I came out from that and I was just like, I blew the whole thing. I looked, it was awful. But again, you know, I went on to do some great stuff. 3-part drama by Sally Wainwright called Unforgiven with Saran Jones. Some really cool stuff. Imagine when I was 10, if just there and then I went, no, I'm no good. I'm screwed it. It really is the mindset, and it's that resilience, and it's that self-awareness, which I don't think we talk about enough. Self-awareness. To really recognize, you know, objectively, am I doing the right stuff? You know, was it bad or was it just something I can learn from? It's all about the awareness. And when I have a phrase that I say, when emotion is high, logic is low. We don't go to logic. We don't go to being objective. We don't go to being aware. We go to emotion. Oh my God, I feel so stupid. I feel embarrassed. And it's that stuff that we have to really work on if that's what's, as you say, if that's what's ruling our life.
Yeah, and I think that probably is like, so we did say we could talk about 3 big mistakes there, but we'll talk about more, but that probably is the first one, and that's actually not even realizing how important a piece of the puzzle your mindset is in this industry. Obviously in all parts of your life, but, you know, in an industry as tough as this, that you will get as much rejection as you can face in this industry. You know, like it can, if you're not careful, just so much self-doubt, you know, lack of confidence. You can procrastinate. You're not going to be action-oriented. I can see here, Dale's got a comment here. He says, prepping like mad and then overthinking in the moment feels familiar, definitely. Yeah. That's it, exactly. And Dale, you probably walk in those editions. And you're an action taker, mate. We're going to talk about that next. Dale, I've mentioned him a few times this week. Dale is a member of Act On This who takes freaking action. We brought my voiceover agents on not too long ago. Dale took action on that. Reached out, ended up getting rep, just landed a job with £9,000 usage this week. Because you're an action taker, Dale, and that's what happens. That's what happens, you know, as opposed to going, oh, hang on a minute, you know, I'll just focus purely on acting. I won't look at other areas of the acting industry like voiceover, voice acting. You know, you're an action taker. You've put good material in front of decent agents, landed an agent, got a job, and you've got another job this week, haven't you? This next point doesn't really apply to you, Dale, or a lot of people maybe who are here because you're on a call at 4:00 in the afternoon, you know, when you have an infinite number of other alternatives to choose from. But that's probably the first one, it's just realizing from here on out how important mindset is. You'll see at the bottom of the screen, by the way, me and Matt, if you like what we're talking about today, we're running a free training on Saturday, the 1st of March, where we're going to dive into even more of this stuff, really in-depth stuff on procrastination, on self-confidence, and on just anxiety, innit, Matt? People getting over, not clinical anxiety, we're not psychologists and doctors, but if you have this, like, you know, underlying unease in high-pressure situations where you're self-taping or you're going into auditions and you're all you're thinking is like, don't forget your lines, don't forget your lines, don't forget your lines. You're focusing on all the wrong stuff. Your mind is running away with itself and overthinking, as Dale said there. We're going to cover a lot of that. So you can get a free place on that if you want. actonthis.tv/mindset. But let's dive into some more of these points, Matt. I've made notes. There's so many more than three of these. We've kind of just covered this thing that's at the top of my list here, which is mistake number 1, believing that talent alone will get you the role. And the mistake there is that many actors believe, ultimately, that if they're talented enough, the roles will come, right? That's literally it. And this kind of mindset can lead to just a lack of proactive action, right? Talent is important, but it's not enough to simply rely on that and the ability to be able to act. So then that goes back to the business side of things that I was talking about. Everything that we preach at Act On This is the business side of things. How you are showing up in this industry yourself, not just leaving everything to your agent if you're lucky enough to have an agent, but how you are putting yourself out into the world. You know, are you posting stuff online, showing your talent? Are you reaching out to casting directors with really like succinct, concise, laser-focused emails that actually are value-driven, like they're solutions-focused? It's not. I saw a dreadful email this morning, Matt, that someone copied me in on to a director, and it offered zero, and I mean literally zero value to that director. They didn't even include a link to any of their material. They actually put in that email, I just thought it was disrespectful. They put in the email, oh, I'll drop you another email later on with my spotlight link. What? Why are you not including that like in your first email? You think that director wants to read your email now and then go, oh, I'll just wait and hang on for you to actually send me something that I can look at. Like, people are getting this so wrong. So it's like, how are you showing up in the world? What are you putting out there? And are you just believing that, oh, I'm talented, so I just deserve a job? It's almost kind of like, again, we're going to be kind, not nice. It's like an entitlement.
Yep.
You cannot be entitled in this life. I'll show you.
Especially not in the acting industry.
No, I was gonna say I'll show you what the acting industry owes you. There you go. Nothing. Just a blank piece of paper. Like, literally owes you absolutely nothing, and you cannot just sit there expecting work to turn up. So what we want to do, like to realign people's mindsets, and their belief system here, is just shift you into like an action-based thinking, is what I would call it. Action-based thinking, understanding that success comes from consistently taking the right actions, whether that's, as I say, reaching out to people direct yourself, working in conjunction with your agent to open up other opportunities, networking, developing your craft through workshops, meeting people, jumping on Act On This calls, putting yourself out on social media. It could be doing comedy sketches. It's just like promoting any other business, Matt. Matt's a business strategist as well, right? So he's focusing on the mindset a lot of the time, but you help other people build businesses. Actors need to realize that they are a business, Matt. Do you find, like, just in every business, people struggle with this? Like, they're afraid of putting themselves out there. They're not doing the right things. They're not action-oriented. They're just expecting customers to come to them.
Yep, a lot of it is self-doubt. It's always that I'm not good enough. It's that fear of failure, fear of embarrassment, fear of making a mistake and things like that. But what I would actually say, just to your point there, about the business, I would say to everybody watching this right now, unless you're really at the beginning and you have got no idea how to act, you need to probably just massively shift your percent focus from the classes that you're probably doing to the business. So when I say classes, I mean, like, rather than focusing on how can I be a better actor, I mean, it's marginal, right? And here's the thing, right? A lot of you will have experiences of this where you've seen somebody on a soap or on a TV job that are working, that are acting, and you've gone, they're rubbish. Rubbish, right?
Yeah, but I hear it from actors all the time. Yep. And I'm like, well, hang on a minute. They're on the telly. You're not.
So here's the thing on that, right? All right. So that might be rubbish, but and don't just believe it was just they got lucky or they had the right look. To a small percent, there's always anomalies. That's probably true. And yes, life's unfair. Deal with it. That's just the reality, right? But for most of them, it's not just that they were lucky or right place at the right time. It's that they figured out they need to put most of their energy, time, and focus on how to market themselves, how to get in the room, how to get around the right people. The acting, hopefully, if you want to be an actor, you should be able to act. You don't need to do 3 different classes a week. I know I fell into this trap back in the day. And I would say 80% of my focus was on classes, on how to do Shakespeare and all this other stuff, on how to get better as an actor. And
do you know what I'm just going to say mine was, I left drama school and I'd already done 3 years at drama school, right?
Yeah.
Every day. We were doing 60 hours a week at drama school, right? I knew how to act before I went into drama school. I did 60 hours a week for 3 years. By that point, I knew how to act. I came out, I went, I'm going to need new classes. Now, I did to a certain extent need to learn more screen technique, but it was only really to bring performances down. The absolute foundations of how to act, how to have a presence, how to deliver lines naturally. I had that. And what I found is not just myself, but a lot of other people in the class. It was a very high level of procrastination, because that was going, if I'm going to class, I'm working on my career. It was this practical excuse I could give myself about why I wasn't working. Well, I'm still working on the craft. It wasn't until I started working in casting in 2009-ish that I learned more about the business. And very quickly, we're talking like 3 months of understanding the business side of things and implementing that, I landed my first agent and got my first job on Emmerdale. And before that, I'd done years and years and years of classes. I was ready years ago. But I find that people fall into this comfort, almost like a youth club, of going to class. It stops being competitive. It stops being, I'm going to raise my bar and I'm going to show I'm the best in the class, to I'm comfortable and I'm going to talk to everyone here. I love meeting my mates, so we're going to have a laugh.
Mates. And we love slagging off the industry and saying how hard it is and moaning and whinging. That happens too, and I've been around that. So to my point about the percent thing, that's where I was at. 80% was just doing classes. 20% of the business was just chasing up my agent and occasionally sending the odd email every now and then. That's the reality. And there'll be some of you watching this right now and that's your reality, and that's fine. First thing is, objectively become aware that that's what's going on. Now we need to change it. And I would say 80-90% of your time should be on you, not your agent, proactively marketing yourself and finding opportunities, going after opportunities, making your own work, all that kind of stuff is going to give you way higher chance of success than just going to another bloody class and doing another script to the same teacher that you see every week.
Yep.
So I really think that alone could be a massive shift that you can take from from listening to this live right now that can make a huge impact on your acting career in the next few months if you act on it right now.
Yeah, have a think in terms of like, how long have you been? And again, I'd love some like real-time feedback. I can see lots of people leaving comments on YouTube now, so I'll bring some up in a minute. But keep leaving comments for us. Let us actually have a conversation with you. How long have you been at your current acting class? And I'm not saying they're not great, because there are some brilliant, amazing tutors out there. But I know myself, David Johnson, shout out to him, no longer with us, but what an absolute incredible guy he was. I know that I and lots of other people in that class probably stayed at that class too long, because there comes a point where you go, I've been here a couple of years. How much more feedback from the same person can I take on board that's actually going to move the needle? You know, maybe, you know, 0.25% here or there, but maybe I need some, a fresh perspective to make that 10% jump in thinking about things slightly differently. If you've been at the same class for 2, 3, 4 years, I'd start asking yourself why. Have you just got complacent? Have you got comfortable? Do you like the social aspects of it? Have you stopped really sort of taking risks in class? And, you know, do you not feel nervous anymore? When you start going into a class and you feel completely at home, like, right, I'm here and I'm just going to show off. I'm like, that's too comfortable for me. I'm like, I like it when I go into a class in a weird sadistic way where I'm like, I need to prove myself here.
That's how you grow.
Yeah.
You get out of your comfort zone and you be the underdog. That's where you've got to be. You don't grow just around your mates and around the same teacher. You know what you said there about David Johnson? I went to his class for about 4 years, and I actually remember just before I left, I remember one of the guys, bless him, in the class, just being like, you know, David's obviously getting on a bit. His health's not the best. And he went, and he's an absolute legend. And I just feel privileged to be in his presence every week. So I'm just going to keep coming. Even though at the time he was saying, I'm not getting a lot out of this. I don't feel I'm really good. It was almost out of like some moral thing that he was like, I just feel like I want to stay part of this youth club, like you're saying, with this leader that I respect. No, if you're not progressing in your career, get out of your comfort zone. Go find other people and other places that you know are going to push you.
Yeah, I can see a comment here from Nadareth. I'm probably saying your name completely wrong. Apologies, but said I've set myself a goal to do at least one workshop a month, but we'll use different providers. Mixing Networks, Actors Guild, Bard City. I'm not familiar with Bard City. Mixing Networks, I like. Just Add Milk, I really like, folks. They're a great workshop provider, sort of charity kind of based in terms of. Obviously, they're running a business, but they're really affordable. I sponsor their working class bursary every year. Sort of big believer in them. I think they bring some great people on board. They've got something called the Big Jam event in April, which is like their first kind of like expo that they're doing. Got some great people coming down to that. I think Sophie Holland's going to that, and Faye Timby. They've got some really good people. That's quite affordable as well. But yeah, I think, you know, doing different classes with different people, it just opens your mind. It's like that whole analogy we use, Matt, of tasting ice cream, mate, isn't it? It's like if you stopped tasting ice cream at vanilla, how would you have realised that strawberry was your favourite? Yeah, you know, or whatever crazy flavors they do these days, fish food and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, that's the first thing. We've got to move from going talent, you know, relying on like talent and going, that's the most important thing. It isn't. The business side of things, and then again, your mental resilience to continue with the business side of things. For me, again, are the things that beat talent every time. You know, and that's why you end up with these people, like you say, on the telly, where you'll see a lot of jaded actors slagging them off. Oh, I can't believe they're on the TV, they're rubbish. Or they'll kick off because maybe this person's got a social media following and they think that's played a point of why they've got on telly. And it might have done. Let's just be honest. If you can bring 1 million audience members to a show, that's really going to count. But the fact is, they've done something to get 1 million.
To get that audience.
To get 1 million in the audience.
So you go get 1 million followers by creating great content or whatever, right? So if you've gone, okay, that's how they got the job, you can, like they say, success leaves clues.
Yep. Yeah.
There's a clue.
Yeah, success leaves clues. And even if you think whatever they did to get the 1 million followers was shit, why don't you just do something similar but better? If you think you can do it, you can do it better.
Raise the bar.
You know, and again, try and add value. You know, it's not just about the Love Island lot. I saw you put a post out the other day, Matt, about the Love Island lot, and basically, if you want a load of followers, take your top off, and you'll get that. But ultimately, you're not really giving any value to the world, and you won't really, you know, be able to monetize that.
Exactly.
So you know, try and actually do something of substance, folks. I just realised I'm going to put a little bit of music on while we're chatting about this. I like a bit of, like a little bit of dance pop. Let's see if this.
We're going upbeat. Yeah, I went straight to the sad, emotional music.
Yeah, none of that. Yeah, there you go. A little bit of dance pop. It's all allowed to play. It's royalty free. So that's the first thing. Well, it's not. It's the second thing, isn't it? First thing is realising your mindset really is super important. And the second thing is not focusing everything on the talent. The business side of things, you know, is absolutely critical as well. Now, in my notes here, God, I've got so many different things. I'm trying to think what I should choose.
All of them.
What I should choose first.
I speak double fast.
Otherwise, yeah, I mean, this will end up being like a 2-hour kind of a 2-hour live stream. I think the next thing really, and I'm always reticent to talk about this a little bit because I said this yesterday on Instagram Live. I don't want people to think I'm like, you've got to get an Act On This membership. You know, it's gonna solve all your problems, right? Obviously, if you did get an Act On This membership, if you're an action taker, I want to work with you. Get a membership at actonthis.tv. Come and hang out with the biggest names in the game every week, and we'll teach you that big, you know, that big business side of things, so you can take action on that. But it doesn't have to be an Act On This membership. It could be anything else. What I'm seeing at the moment, because people are demotivated, Matt, and I get this in my emails, is I'm seeing people cancel resources, whether that's Act On This membership, their Spotlight membership, it could be equity subs, although I'm not a big fan of equity at the moment with what they're doing with Spotlight. That's probably another broadcast we'll do at some point. But it could be an acting class that they've not been at for ages, or they're not going to any workshops, or they're choosing to cancel, ironically, the resources in their life that would be the solution to the problem that they're saying is why they're cancelling it. So if we look at it, to be more precise, say it's a financial thing. It's like, right, okay, I've got to cancel my Spotlight because I can't afford it, or I've got to cancel my Act On This membership because I can't afford it, or I'm not, especially when it's tagged with I'm not using it as well. I'm like, this is so frustrating, because if you did use it, like Dale there, use it to earn his £9,000. I just got a job last week for the BBC, it's nearly £3,000, right? Only through doing the things that we preach on actonthis.tv. Carol Smith yesterday got a job. Shout out to you, Carol, again. As part of our first TV Fast Track group, you know, a casting director gave her a job yesterday because she'd been in touch via email, sent a showreel. He's doing the work ultimately. But people are, they're cancelling on the thing. Say this, go, I've got no money, right? Well, to earn money out of this industry, you really have to understand the business side of things. You're going to have to get, you know, good at your craft. You're going to have to, you know, get out there and actually meet people. That's going to cost something, right? Yeah. And there are things out there that are better value than other things, so you've got to choose wisely. But people are quitting on the very things that could very well be, well, not even very well, but are the solution to not having any money. So if you're going to quit on Spotlight, how are you going to get access to the auditions that are on Spotlight that could lead to thousands of pounds? If you're going to quit your Act On This membership, you're not going to be able to come and jump on and get the email addresses every week from the biggest people in the game, literally saying, send me a showreel after this. Dermot Goggins, who was on last night, was like, here's my email address. It's only for members, and I already know someone shared it outside of the community, folks. Please don't do that. I know somebody was on the call last night and gave that email address to someone who is not a member. Please do not do that, right? Because you're compromising everything. You know, we can't give people's personal contact information out if you're just going to give it out to people who are not members of the community. Please do not do that. But, you know, if for the people who are listening to those calls, they listened to Dermot last night, they listen to what he wants on a showreel, Matt, what he likes about actors, the things he wants to see, the things he doesn't, how to approach him. The people who take action on that, because they're action focused, like we said before, if they get an audition with him, you know, and they land a job that's 3, 4, 5,000 quid through a £7 investment for turning up on that call, it's like, why would you cancel that thing that could lead to like decades worth of return on your investment? So I'm always a bit like, you know, I say I don't want to push this because I'm like, people will just think that I'm just bigging this up and going, you should get a membership. If you don't get a membership, then, you know, you're rubbish. It's not that. I just get frustrated because I see how impactful it can be for some actors who are action oriented, and yet other people, like, they get no results because they do nothing with it. And yet I'm like, if you just did it, you could earn so much money. This would pay dividends.
And I know how this passion is real. I feel the same with the stuff that I do, because you get clients who are the star students who literally come on board, enthusiastic, focused. They make time to go through the content, act on the content, and they get results, and you're like, oh my God, this is so amazing. You feel so proud to have played a part in that journey. And then you see other people that don't show up, that complain about the industry. I think, look, the thing that I want to say to anyone listening right now is it's about prioritizing. And I want to say this with empathy, because I do get it. I do get life is complex. I do get we are all spinning different plates and we have different responsibilities. And I do get we're all going through our own stuff, right? So everything is meant with nothing but empathy and love and care. But if you want success at this, what I have found to be true is there is no escaping consistent hard work over years and years and years and years, decades, right? So just let's get that clear first and foremost. There's no escaping it. You have to be putting in hours, energy, effort, enthusiasm daily for years. That is what it takes. And if you want it, you have to be able to do that. But then the thing that people feel is overwhelmed and they feel like they've too many other things to do. And it's about a reprioritization. If the answer is yes, I want this, you have to reprioritize, because there's absolutely things in your diary right now which really you didn't want to do, or you're doing it for somebody else, or you're doing it because you want to have a social life, or it's doom scrolling because you're just exhausted and you're tired and you just want to mindlessly go through social media for an hour here, an hour there. These are the things that are adding up and taking away from the time where you could be at that workshop. You could be on that Zoom session that Ross is doing with Act On This TV. You could be progressing in your career. And it's about, and I found this difficult, but it's something I live by. It's about really becoming decisive, making difficult decisions, being relentless with it. Once you know this is the goal, this is the outcome I want, as best as possible. And I don't mean perfection. I know it might not be perfect. As best as possible, you want to only say yes to things that align with that goal. Because if not, you just don't stand a chance. It's too competitive. It's too difficult. Let's just be real. And not just this industry, just life.
Life, yeah.
Like life is. If you don't give it everything you've got within reason, I'm not on about complete extremes, but to some degree, we talk about seasons, don't we? And I'm a big believer in this. There's going to be certain seasons in your life. Look, on my podcast, Success School, some of you are familiar with, my question that I ask at the end of every episode is, what is your definition of success? And it's all around trying to understand success, what it means to the individual, and so on. As a result, I have had some incredible guests, Ross being one of them, of course, that have achieved some amazing things, whether that be famous actors, athletes, successful business owners. And there's one thing I've been doing this podcast now, I think 2019. So what's that, 6 years?
6 years, right? Yeah.
And I've sat down with all these incredible people on the subject of success. And one thing I've really, really recognized, right, from all these conversations, there has never been anybody that didn't speak about years of hard work, borderline obsessed with achieving that goal, / obsessed. I said borderline. Some people were just absolutely obsessed and determined. Years of getting nowhere, years of rejection, years of failure. And I'm talking years. I'm not saying a couple of months.
Yeah.
Literally years. And it's the commonality between every single person I've spoke to that have achieved success at a high level over the last 6 years. So it's just about, and it's just about embracing that and enjoying that. And one thing I spoke to you about, Ross, recently, people that are interested in business, and we're both interested in business. You may be familiar with a guy called Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V. And I saw some content the other day and I was like, yes. And I've been telling everyone it ever since. So I'll bring this in here on this live because it may just help some of you. He said, the reason most of you burn out, the reason most of you quit, the reason a lot of you never reach that high level of success is because for him, he's into business and he's a really successful business guy, right? And his words were something along the lines of, I just eat shit every day. I'm just dealing with problems, solving problems, curveballs, issues every single day. It's like, that is what business is. It's long hours, it's a lot of work, and it's not easy, right? And he says, I love it.
Yeah.
He says, I absolutely love that shit, and solving the problems and figuring it out and getting a result. I love that. He said, the reason you're not successful in your business, and again, we talk about being an actor is a business, is because you don't love your business. He said you love what the business can do for you. You love that it could give you freedom. You love that it could make you money, can buy the Lamborghini, can get you the BAFTA, the Oscar, the recognition, the validation, the look at me. You love what the business can do for you. You don't love the business, right? Let that land for a moment, people. When you can enjoy the process of not getting the wins and the outcomes and the results, but enjoy the process of trying stuff, doing different stuff, pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. When you can genuinely love the process, by default, you'll become a success. But when you only love the success, you'll never stick to the process and therefore never get the success.
It's really powerful that in terms of, there'll be a lot. And we all probably, align with that. We probably do. Everybody love what the business can do for us. A lot of the time, more than the business, more than the grind, more than all the stuff. That is anyone seen that that diagram of like the iceberg, and you see the tip of the iceberg, and it's got all of the shiny stuff. It's got the premieres. It's got you on Netflix, all this sort of stuff, and it says what people think being an actor is, and then underneath the water is a massive chunk of iceberg, and it's all the shit
rejection,
that nobody
failure.
loves. Exactly, all that, the hustle, the
Struggling
emails that never get
financially.
responded to, the sacrificing finances.
Let me jump in on that word as well, Ross, because that's something else I want to bring in here, because I was just saying there about you've got to love it, you've got to be, even though it's difficult, you've got to enjoy that process, but you really need to make time for your career.
Yeah.
Right? You've got to prioritize it. You've got to reshuffle. You've got to say no to people. And it just reminded me of when we've spoke about this. I know the interview I did with a guy called Dr. Aria, high performance psychologist, great guy. Dr. Aria spoke about that word of sacrifice, right? And he said, remove that word. It's just a choice. He said, am I going to choose on Friday night to have fun with my mates, go for drinks, have a release after a busy week? He said, the upside is you get social time, you get to have fun, you get to have a bit of balance, whatever. The downside is maybe hangover, you've not progressed in your career, so on. Or you could spend that Friday night beating on your craft. The upside is you're getting better, you're getting more contacts, you're learning, you're growing, you're moving towards your goal. Downside is maybe you've not had as much balance. Maybe you've not spent as much time socially, right? Both have an upside and downside. Every choice we make has an upside and downside. So rather than going, I'm sacrificing. No, I'm just making a choice aware of the ups and the downs and knowing that I value the upside to this more than the others right now in this season. And then you can enjoy, when you're getting more of the results you want and building more of the life you want, you can have maybe a little bit more balance and do some of the other stuff as well anyway.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, it's a choice, and sometimes it's just making a choice that will make your future self proud. We probably all have those moments. I don't know, like anyone who's getting into fitness or when you first get into it, and you're really coming from a place of where you're going out all the time. I was going out all the time. Back in the day, and I decided I was going to commit to fitness and my health, and I thought I'm going to run a marathon. It'll kind of keep me on track to a training schedule effectively, because you have to follow quite precisely to do a marathon. You've got to be pretty strict with getting your mileage up basically. And I remember a couple of occasions where I was probably labelling it as a sacrifice, but when you look back, it's just a choice. One, I remember so specifically walking into the pub, right? I don't really drink anymore. And the girl behind the bar who I knew was already reaching for a bottle out of the fridge that I would normally buy a beer every time I went in there.
And she was so not like you. This is mad.
Mate, no, I know. I mean, I'm talking like 20 years ago, probably. Best part of 15, 20 years ago. And I was like, because she was like, usual, Ross. And I, usual. Now it's in Costa or Starbucks.
Yeah, it literally is.
People do that. And I went, no, I'm training for this marathon. I'm just going to have a blackcurrant cordial. And it was a choice that made me proud in the moment. I thought, God, you know what? You are committed to this. And then I remember some Friday nights in the gym where it's very quiet if you go in the gym on a Friday night, particularly if you go to one of these 24-hour ones, folks, where you can fob yourself in. And it's like 10:30 at night. And yes, I am not out doing the fun stuff necessarily, but I remember sitting on this machine within the moment, I think it's a shoulder press machine or something like that, and going, I have consciously chosen to invest in this.
Feels great.
Because this is going to improve future Ross, as opposed to the Ross that's out now who's going to get instant gratification. So much of that applies to your acting career. It's like, right, okay, I'm going to choose, and I don't want to, take fun out of people's lives, but you know what? Sometimes if that's not pizza and a wine, but on a Tuesday night or whatever to escape a tough day, you're going to save the 20 quid on the Domino's or whatever and the tenner on the bottle of wine. You go, right, well, that's actually, that 30 quid is for a workshop. That is a month of Act On This. That is, a couple of months of my spotlight or whatever.
Yeah.
It's choosing the things that are going to be more beneficial to you long term, because you're going to be so much more satisfied in that long term than you are if you just keep kind of running away and go, oh, it's been a tough day. How many people do you hear? I know people like this who are just so quick to reach for some alcohol after a tough day at work, and they come in and the first thing they're doing while they're taking their coat off, telling you about how tough their day was, pouring some wine. I'm like, it's not only bad for your health, it's a waste of money, it's going to make you less productive tomorrow. So it's not a sacrifice not having that, it's a choice.
And I get it. Like, we've all been there, and life's challenging, but there's only you that can change that. You have to have that awareness to go, I'm going to make a change. Do you remember my first live event that you spoke at, when I spoke about how we feel happy as humans? And I categorized it as two ways. I said,
tell them this is good.
Yeah, you can either get happiness from pleasures, or you can get happiness from fulfillment. And I gave examples. I said, like, pleasures is things like the pizza, like the wine, like the Netflix, the film, the night out in the nightclub, the chocolate, the ice cream. These are all pleasurable. And when we're having them, it makes us feel happy. And some gurus say, like, that's not happy. I'm like, it is. I'm bloody happy eating ice cream and eating pizza. It definitely makes me happy. So let's call it what it is. That makes me happy. But that's pleasures in life that gives us that. Fulfillment's something very different. Fulfillment is a feeling of pride, is seeing progress, is learning a new skill, accomplishing a new goal. Like, that's fulfillment. Both of which make us happy. Just like you said, being in that gym on the shoulder press. I'm really proud of myself, actually. And feeling that sense of pride made you happy. And what I said is, I'm not about banishing all pleasure from your life. The odd bit of chocolate, the odd night out, great, do that. It's what life's all about, is knowing that you can enjoy everything from life, But what I said is, again, come back to a percent. Most of you watching this right now, again, we're just going to be kind. It might not be nice, but it's kind to be honest with people. Most of you have got the balance way off. You get 80% of your happiness from pleasure. You get 90% of your happiness from watching Netflix, from going on a night out, seeing friends, socializing, pizza, whatever your thing is, playing on the Xbox, collecting Pokemon cards. Bit weird if you do that. You get 80-90% from pleasures. Now, pleasures generally are short-term happiness followed by longer-term maybe regret, right? Fulfillment's the opposite. It's more about the long-term feeling of pride. And both make us happy. And so what I say to people is, shift the balance again. If you can get 80% of your happiness from things that make you feel fulfilled, like progress, achieving, moving forward, and just 15-20% every now and then a bit of pleasure, I think it's a much healthier balance to have.
Yeah, I can see Gary, you've put something cool in the chat. Let me bring this up. Actually, I've not heard this before. He just said, remember listening to someone the other week talking about the shift. So you just said they're making a shift, or the drift. The shift is intentional. So I guess you can drift into pleasure when you're running away from things, or you're just, or it's just a bandage, isn't it? Because I could have done it last week, folks. I've told this story too many times this week, but I got cut from a Netflix drama this week. That was waiting to be on. Had some great scenes with Jodie Whittaker and Claudia Jesse. They got cut. I then got an email from my agent on the same day, within 30 minutes, saying I didn't get this other job that I auditioned for that I thought I'd done a really good sell tape for, and I could have drifted into seeking pleasure. What I actually did is I went, hang on a minute, because I'm just wired this way now. I've done it for so many years. I get kind of like super competitive. And I'm not saying this is always super healthy, but I'm like, right, positive chip on my shoulder. What can I do within this moment to take control back? I need to sow some new opportunities to bring back control. Fire some emails out there, get myself on the radar of other people, message people I've not messaged in quite a while, reconnect with people within the industry. And then by Friday, I'd forgotten I'd auditioned for something 3 weeks ago. By Friday, get a voice note from my agent. I've got a job on a new BBC comedy. So in a week, I had it's tumultuous. It's like a roller coaster, up and down, up and down. But my actions within that gap between getting those two rejections and then getting the win were all intentional and action-oriented solutions. Like, what can I do to win back control? It wasn't, I'm now going to, I need some pleasure to make up for this disappointment. And we're not saying strip all pleasure out your life. You've got to have some, bloody hell, 100%. But this advice really is for the people who are, and we mean this with kindness as well, but complaining. If you're really happy having all the pleasure and you're not bothered about not working your acting career, you've won. That's fine.
You win.
Totally happy with that. That, you know, if you're like, everything's great, I'm loving my life, I'm having all this pleasure, that's great. But you're not after the big things that the people tell me they're after. If you are after those things and you're unhappy or you're complaining that you're not getting them and other people are, then that's when we need to look at making that shift. So
there's no escaping it. Like the top athletes in the world absolutely obsess and focus and stay consistent. You know, I think sometimes there's an entitlement around acting and like, oh, well, I go to my class and I do a bit of this and I do a bit of that. It's not enough, unfortunately. And then don't shoot us, the messengers. We don't make the rules. But if you want to get the results, you have to play the game. And that requires beating on your craft. It requires ridiculous hours. And I'm going to say that now because I know we preach a lot of balance.
Yeah, we're not ones that are like, you need to work into the ground. And if you're not burnt out and completely overwhelmed and just full of anxiety, then you're not working. We're not about that.
We're not about that. And at the same time, there's an element of putting the work. And you and I still do it now. We don't have to work as hard as we do at the moment. We do it because we love it and we love the impact we can make and the results we can get and the changes and the growth. We love the journey. We love the process, coming back to the Gary Vee thing again. But we still regularly get up. Well, I think you get up at 6. I get up regularly at 5. I'll still be working.
Half 6, you're early.
Half 6.
Yeah.
And I don't always get up at 5. It's important I say that. But regularly, I'm up at 5. Regularly, I am still doing some work at midnight. Regularly, I am working weekends. You know, it's how people become successful. And it's not always easy. It's not always nice. But it is what it is. And if you want the results, you have to do an element of that for at least some seasons of your life. And if you don't, that's cool too. Just accept it's maybe not for you. Right?
But the good news is, though, that what will happen is life will become slightly easier like later on. So for the first, growing this business, Act On This, you know, for the first 8 years, it just cost me money, folks. You all know this. I've told this story before, but I was around about £70,000 in debt by year 8. My accountant was like, why are you not closing this down? You're just hemorrhaging cash into this.
Wow, that's such a good story. Like, wow. Like you literally you were in debt after year 8.
Huge amount. Yeah.
And your accountant is going, why are you doing this? Stop.
Yeah, and I was still working all the hours under the sun. Honest to God, I was still probably putting in 12, 13-hour days. Luckily, I was earning enough out of my own acting career, my voiceover career, to basically prop it up. That was fine. Yeah. I was meeting people from the industry because at least I was getting to interview people on a weekly basis, and you know that was good for my own network. But in terms of the money that I was putting into it, it was paying me nothing back whatsoever, folks. And everyone around me was like, "You should probably quit. This doesn't make sense." But in my heart, or it was just insanity.
8 years, not 2 or 3.
No, honest to God, 2010 to 2018.
But people look at you now, and I hope the haters are watching this because I know when we put ourselves out online, people, you know, and I get it.
A lot.
I get it.
Of course.
I get it. People are going through shit and they see stuff at the wrong time and it triggers them. Get it. But I hope those people who genuinely go, oh my God, I can't believe he charges money to give value. How dare he? Actors shouldn't have to ever pay. Like, I just hope they really just appreciate what that 8 years looked like for you because you had a dream, a vision, a passion and a care to do something good in the industry. Yeah, you stuck it out.
Yeah, they can go and risk 70,000 quid of their own money and then come back to me and tell me that they shouldn't that you don't charge for stuff. Go and do that if you want. But everyone around me was telling me it was pointless, and I was just like, no, I just believe that I can give more value than a load of people in this industry that are charging bullshit prices for in-person workshops that are 2 hours. I can bring people who are way better than the people that I get into people's homes. They don't even have to leave. I can do it online. And that's what I started doing. And it cost me, significant money myself. And then eventually, after 8 years, it started paying for itself, and then it started paying me that money back. But it was just a season. It was absolutely essential. It didn't happen by accident, and it was just a consistent effort, basically. And my career's been like that. My acting career's been like that as well.
I want to bring that back to mindset, just what we can learn from that, because it brings me back to that principle of you've got to be it before you become it. And I say this to people, and what I mean by you've got to be it before you become it is you've got to start thinking, acting, walking, talking like you're already the successful owner of Act On This, like you're already the BAFTA nominated actor or whatever. You don't. It's that thing of people go, oh, but I ain't got confidence to speak to that person yet. I ain't got confidence. You don't get confidence from waiting for it to arrive. You get it from having the courage to show up like you've already got it anyway.
It's courage. It's not lying to yourself, folks. It's not faking it. It's courage. It comes down to that. We cover this in Bulletproof Actor, don't we? You gain courage. You gain confidence through courage. And it's just 5 seconds of courage to walk up to someone, you know, who you want to say hello to. I got a message from an actor who saw saw a casting director who they know from Act On This, and is a very prominent casting director in TV, at a train station, and then really had to build the courage to go and say hello. It's Daniel Edwards, great casting director. He's just up for a second Emmy for Heartstopper again. And they had 5 seconds basically to walk over to him, and once they said hello, they'd committed. And we talk about this: you have the courage, and once you've plucked up that courage, boom! At that point, you've committed. As soon as you said hello to Daniel, and he's looking at you in the face, that conversation has been initiated. You can't run away.
You've committed.
You've committed.
I mean, you could.
It'd be very, very weird. But once you've committed, then you know you have that conversation. And then, you know, the world doesn't implode on you. It's all good. Daniel's like, oh, it's great to meet you. Lovely. Daniel sends me a WhatsApp message going, just met one of your members. They were really, really lovely. I was like, oh, nice one. So I fed that back to them. So then they've gone, I've got confident now. So then they've gained the capability to do that again. Yeah. And the next time they see someone, they'll be less afraid to approach them because they'll have empirical evidence that the last time I did this, it worked out great. Yeah. You know, and I made a connection. So, it's having it's that self-belief, even when other people are
That's what I was saying about you have to be it before you become it. You have to already act like it's done. You know, a lot of people have heard the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I think it's like 100 years old nearly, something like that. But the principle is still true. They talk about act as if. Act as if. It doesn't mean lie, but just like, how would I hold myself? How would I show up? What would I have courage to do? What would I commit to doing if I'm just thinking of your example there, Ross, because I think it's so powerful. If I already had this successful business, not, oh God, I'm 70 grand in debt. Oh God, I'm not making enough money in my account. Because you give off a different energy and aura, right? You had the vision and the belief, and you were just acting like it's already done. And then now look at the business. Yeah,
it was very much kind of like, I just was like, I don't know. I did, honest to God, folks, fall in love with the process, right? I'm a geek, right? And I tell you what, I've never really talked about this before. The thing that honestly fueled my journey of building this into a pretty significant business, a very, very small business in the grand scheme of things, but a business that absolutely changed my life and the lives of many other people who it serves. Yep. The thing that honestly kept me going was curiosity in innovation, if I'm honest with you. So it was going, right, hang on a minute, I've tried this, I'm a tech geek, right? So I've tried this piece of tech out. You know, I'd get really excited when something else came out that would make my emails look better, or, you know, something that would enable me to, you know, literally back in the day, like upload a larger, longer video to a platform. And then it go, well, hang on a minute, how can I make my videos look better? What if I got a better camera? Oh, why don't I save up for some lights? It was genuinely, it was never, honest to God, hand on heart, it was never, ever, ever about the money. And this was the first business that I ever tried where my goal was not to earn, obviously you want to be profitable, but my main goal was not to earn money. I set up a company before this one, and my main purpose in that one was to generate profit. It was in the stock market industry. That's all about money. It failed really, really quickly because my whole point was like, how do I make money in the stock market? Yeah. This was the only one where genuinely I felt absolutely in love with leveling up gradually, incrementally, by staying curious and trying out new stuff.
In the work and it brings us right back to that Gary Vee thing of you loved the process.
I genuinely did.
Not the money it could bring, not the outcome. Doing how do I keep evolving and getting better? The feeling, and it's the same for actors. Sorry.
Yeah, the feeling in my stomach. I remember it so well. I was working for Game in the computer game shop. I was earning minimum wage, £5.75 an hour was all I ever got to at Game. That was I maxed out my salary at £5.75 an hour. And I honestly, I would stand on the shop floor, and you weren't allowed your phone with you on the shop floor, but I would smuggle it out. It's something like the first iPhone was out, and you could just about get a signal and go online. It's like 3 minutes to load a web page. And I would I'd hide in a corner of the shop or in the back end of the stock room, just logging in and just trying to do just a little bit. The excitement as I was finishing work that I got to go home and work on the thing that I actually wanted to do was so strong that it propelled me sometimes for finishing work at 5 and not go to bed till 2, 3 in the morning, knowing I had to be back up at 9 for my shit job.
Yeah.
But I didn't go home and go, I'm just going to watch the telly and run away from my life. I was so enthused about trying stuff out. That was the thing that kept me in the game. And I think, you've got to find whatever that is for you in the acting industry, whether that is, going, how can I up my self-tape game? How can I get better at writing these emails? How can I use social media more effectively? Should I collaborate with friends? And, you know, maybe we can get a little group together where we read in for each other on self-tapes just for fun and just for practice. Or maybe we meet up in real life. And, you know, it's finding those things that keep you curious about the industry, that will keep you going. It's if you're doing the same thing, and I just gone home and done the same thing again and again and again, never tried to level up incrementally, you know, playing around with the tech and just trying new things out or trying different marketing things, I never would have stuck at it. But I was constantly trying to do new stuff. And even today, we're doing that. You know, I wasn't going live on YouTube in this format until last year. Well, like, how can we level up? What can I do to stay curious, to keep me from being bored?
That's what actors need to find, right? And I know it can sometimes feel tough when you have been in the game for a while and maybe you're not getting the outcome. So I hope, I mean, there's gold you've just spread there, Ross. I hope there's things that are getting people going now, like, yeah, I could do that. And yeah, but I again, to bring it back to mindset as well, because we can give you that strategy. We can tell you what practically you can do. But I think one thing just to focus on is gratitude. And I think that's something that gets overlooked. There's a quote which Tony Robbins says, which is trade your expectations for appreciation. So rather than the expectations of, I thought I'd be a famous actor by now, I thought I'd be able to leave my day job by now, trade your expectations for appreciation. Appreciate what you do have, what is available to you in this moment, what you have already achieved, what resources are available to you, and start enjoying and appreciating what you've had rather than putting the emphasis on the focus on what you don't have and where you thought you would be right now. And just that mindset shift can be massive. I think you brought up a question there. Was there something?
It was just a comment from Rich. Yeah, I liked it. He just said money is only one of 9 motivators of work. Understanding what gives you energy is key to success.
Richard, yes. Energy, and that's what you're referring to there, isn't it? It was like, just the curiosity and the enjoyment of how do I get better? How do I get better? It was not about the money.
I felt I was doing things that other people weren't doing. It was weird. It almost kind of like, especially because it was around a time where people weren't building businesses like this. There wasn't a lot of online training for actors and stuff like that. It felt like, I was tiptoeing into uncharted territory that other people that I'd not seen other people replicate. So it all felt very, very new. So and that was the thing that gave me energy, Rich. So I think it is like looking for things in your career that feel new. And that's what we said before. Don't go to the same class for 4 years.
Yeah.
You know, like if you've not been jumping on the calls on Act On This live, you've just been watching the recordings, jump on live sometimes. I'll bring you on camera. I'll introduce you to the guest. You know, maybe that'll just give you some fuel, give you some energy because you've actually spoken, you know, to somebody, and then you can follow that up with some correspondence. Yeah. Let's try and find things that you've just not done before that will just give you that energy. The other thing, how long have you got to go, Matt? I'm aware of your time, but
what if we just do 20 seconds or 30 seconds each on whatever's left? Let's just fire through.
Yeah, okay, let's fire through.
Yeah.
I mean, I've just got loads here. The thing here, I'm calling it like I'm too syndrome, whatever that is. So there's a lot of actors that will be like, I'm too old, or I'm too young, even, or I'm too this, I'm too that. I'm not from the right place. I don't have this. I don't have that. It's this sort of like syndrome of where they want to argue for everything that they are as opposed to everything they could be.
Yeah.
And I hear that a lot. People will use it. You'll probably hear it in your coaching where you say, oh, well, I can see how that would work for Rich. You know, well, that would work for Dale or Indra, or I'm just looking at other people who are on here. That worked for Gary, but I can say that's not going to work for me. Why? Because they look like you, they sound like you. Why wouldn't it work for you? Oh, but I'm too this, I'm too that.
Yeah, it's all limiting beliefs. There's another quote, the story is the glue that keeps you stuck. And what that means is the story you tell yourself about yourself is what will keep you stuck. If you're telling yourself, I'm too old, I'm too young, I'm not experienced enough, I'm not talented enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not good looking enough. If you tell yourself that story, it's just simply a story. That's all it is. But it's that will prevent you from taking action, and it's preventing you the action that you don't take that prevents you from getting results. So just very, very simply, if you can see an example of just one person that started with less than you have right now and went on to have more than you have now, then stop that story, because you've just proved to yourself it's BS, it's rubbish. And I just want to say, there is injustice in the world, there is unfairness in the world, and you can turn to blame, you know, the government, politics, you can blame the weather, you can blame your area and society, you can blame your colour of skin, you can blame your gender, you can blame all those things all you want, and they may be valid, they may be good points, they may be fair, but remember this quote: if you pass the blame, you pass the power, right? It's not saying it's not valid, it's just when you put your time, energy and effort into blaming, you are giving away your power. When you come back to you and go, irrespective of X, Y, Z and whatever else, irrespective, I can control, and you focus on what you can control, right? Yep. you take back the power. There will always be excuses. There will all be, and I'm sure some of them will be valid. There will always be things to blame. But any second you waste on blaming something outside of you, you have just disempowered yourself. And my message to you today is take back the power. Stop. Just quit wasting time blaming, complaining. Injustice exists. There's inequality. There's things that are not fair. If you focus on that, you're going to keep yourself stuck, drowning in that. And I see a lot of it. I'm just calling it for what it is. I work in different industries as a coach. I see a lot of it in the acting industry. And also remember this, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If you're around particularly negative actors and other people in the industry that blame, whine, bitch, complain, moan, always have a problem to every solution instead of a solution to every problem, on some level that will influence your mindset. Be careful who you spend your time with and put your energy, effort into empowering yourself, which is focus on what you can control, disregard the stuff you can't.
Yep, and that includes online as well, folks. There are certain accounts that I see, particularly that it's exhausting. Every single post certain accounts in this industry make will tell you why the industry is corrupt, against you, how unjust it is. Particularly that they'll tell you that if you're female, everything is against you. Like, this is such harmful. They think that in some way, I don't know, they've got some sort of righteous kind of noble cause. But actually, I'm like, do you know how dangerous you are being by telling everybody, particularly, of minorities or underrepresented parts of society, by telling them consistently why they can't win?
Psychologically,
what good is it? They're just going to go, oh, well, there's no point in trying then. Whereas I Act On This, and what I would do is I would say, we say this all the time, we've oversaid it. If you're a human being, you're designed to get better through effort, regardless, of what life has thrown at you now. You can improve, you can get stronger, you can overcome those problems. I see people in our community, in our membership, do it every single day. People who, have had like real adversity thrown at them, folks. I can't mention anything specifically because they'll tell me in confidence, but like, there are members of Act On This who have faced like real bad shit, right? And they have still gone on, as you said before, Matt. Like they started off with way less than 90% of us on here, right? And they've achieved way more in far less time because they've not lived that story that's so limiting. Like you say, that story that's kept them stuck. They've gone, I'm not living this life story anymore. I'm going to rewrite it, and I'm going to start again. I'm going to write a new chapter. Moving forward. I had to do that with my eyes. I found out at 17 I was going blind. Folks, got an eye condition. Really, for a while. In those early days, I was like, what's the point in building anything? Because I can't see it. There'll be one day where I can't see it, like, what's the point? But I'm like, well, I can't control that. There's no point in dwelling on that. I have literally, there's no cure on earth for this. What is the point? If anything, ironically, this is probably the easiest thing for me to deal with, purely because I can't do anything about it.
Yeah, it's done. That's it.
If I thought I could work harder, there was something I could do to affect it. All I can do is focus on my health. That's it, and just fuel my body with good stuff. And then the rest of it is literally in the lap of the gods, and science one day maybe they'll make a cure. But people will be like, oh my god, I don't know how I'd be able to deal with that. You'd be able to deal with it because you literally have zero control over it. You'll find it's way easier to deal with the things that you cannot you cannot control at all than it is getting a job in your acting career, because you can control that. There's certain things you can't, but if you're not working, you're probably not doing enough. There's always going to be other things to explore.
I just want to shout you out on that, because I think out of all the people that I know, you're literally the master when it comes to turning adversity around and having that positive outlook. Even the stuff I remember you spoke about before, about when your dad sadly passed away, and how you said it was the greatest gift because his final words were, look after your mum. And it was like, that was such a gift, because it was that drove you to be better, do better, to have more, do more, to be able to look after your mum, because of the position you was in at that point, you weren't able to. Like that, the mindset to reframe that. And I just want to say as well, the stuff you were saying there about, the people that are online, the moaners, the whingers, whiners, the people that are talking about like championing equality and so on. Some of it's needed, by the way. Some of it's really needed. And also some of the toxic stuff where they take it in the wrong direction. I also have empathy, because their intentions often are good.
Yeah,
and
they believe they're doing the right thing. Yeah, I get that completely. Yeah.
So I don't want anybody to hate on people and be like, yeah, do you know what? I'm around negative people because actually they're always telling me, it's always victim mindset and that mentality, and actually that's really holding me back. Just have empathy. They're doing the best they can with what they have. They think they're doing right, but when you go a few steps deeper than surface level thinking, you go, actually, this is not empowering us. This isn't making us stand up and be better and do better. it's just using it to whine and complain and moan and say the industry's corrupt and these people, just wasting time. And actually, some people have little wins with it because it'll give them validation. It'll maybe get their voice out there. But is that really what you want to become known for? You got far in this industry by moaning and calling it out? Or do you want to get far in this industry because you became excellent at what you did? You were outstanding, that you didn't let your differences hold you back. And no matter what your adversity was, you didn't let that story define you. You decided my past, the things I can't control, do not define who I am. My actions and what I do next does.
Yep. No, I love it. And someone said that, I can't remember who it was who said, just when you said about being outstanding there, it might be Stephen Bartlett actually in one of the podcasts, but they were going, what is outstanding? Like, what is outstanding in sport? What is outstanding in business? What is outstanding in the acting industry? And they were like, actually, you know what? Is outstanding actually just good repeated? You know, literally, if you can get good at something again and again and again, you begin to develop the reputation that you are great at what you do. So I don't want people to think I'll never be outstanding because, you know, there's nothing esoteric about me. I'm not the world's number one at this or that. If you can get to a level where you're just very good at what you do, every performance you bring is solid. Maybe you're known for your comedy, you're known for your dramatic performances. You don't have to be good at everything, but if you can get good at one thing and you can repeat that. So time and time again, when you show up in the world, people are like, God, Matt's good at that. Or I'm just again looking at like names of it. Indy's really good. Gary's really good. Patrick's really good at that thing. If you can be good again and again and again, you'll start being renowned and known as being outstanding and being great, you know. So
it comes back to those quotes: every master was once a disaster, every winner was once a beginner, right? It's that, like, nobody starts out outstanding. It's the repeated effort. And they talk about that 10,000 hours thing. It's that beating on your craft consistently, week in, week out, over decades, that leads to the overnight success. And, oh, they're just amazing and they were just born great. Shut up. No, they weren't. Nobody was. No, right? It's the consistency.
Absolutely not. That is a lie. Right, I won't go through all of these. I'll choose one more. I mean, okay. I'll read them out, the ones that I've got, and you can choose which one we want to go into, right? So at least people know what I'm thinking. Okay. So I've got fear of rejection, basically prevents people from taking risks. So this isn't just about rejection, beating people. It's about actually sometimes the requirement to take a risk where you might lose, right? But it's okay because you're going to learn from that thing. So we've got that one.
I'll just say something quick on that and then we'll move on. Very simply, like the way you become successful is by failing more than everybody else. The people who are the most successful that we look up to in this industry or whatever industry literally got there because they had more rejection, more failure than most of you are willing to take. And it's just almost a scientific formula. Like, the more knockbacks, rejections, failures you can have, the higher your chance of success. So if you fear rejection and failure, you'll never be successful. Start to embrace and be okay. I just had a client today, she's starting a new business, and I said the next 60 days, you're going to get more people ignore you, block you, criticize you, like say no, reject you than ever. But if you can just go into it with the approach that, okay, 60 days of just, I said, you're going to go live on Instagram, nobody will watch. Like, the only people who comment will just be to criticize. And if you just see that for 60 days and just keep going, you might have a chance of actually being successful. If you get put off by the first rejection, it's game over. So that's all I've got to say on that. Just very simply, rejection is part of success.
Yeah, embrace it. Next thing, comparing yourself to others. So, like, constantly comparing yourself to others, I've put here, is a huge trap. It often leads to feelings of inadequacy, jealousy, discouragement. And it's about focusing on your own path, celebrating small wins. And again, I've put here, limiting social media exposure to those accounts that, like, are just going to demotivate you. You know, if you're not following the right people slag off at the moment X, right? They're like, X has become a cesspit. That's probably because you're following the wrong accounts.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
It's empty. It's empty
Unfollow
pipes.
Them.
Empty pipes that you fill with the information that you want to see. And yes, there will be generally a for you section of these social media accounts where they'll suggest other stuff to you. But it's algorithmically based on what you've already interacted with. So stop interacting with the stuff you think's a cesspit. Stop getting angry at people and getting involved in conversations that are not going to propel your life forward. So comparison, basically, if you want to say
I'll just
comparison.
do 20, 30 seconds on that. Only compare yourself to you. That's it. Anybody you compare to, number one, you don't know what's really going on. It might all look good on the outside, but you don't know that's the truth behind closed doors. Number two, you know, if you was going to actually have their life, then you have to take all of their life, which means remove all of your life. And you don't want to do that because you've got amazing things in your life. You've got uniqueness. You've got your own experience that you'd have to replace. Stop scoreboard watching. That's the biggest thing today. To say when it comes to comparison. If you want to win the game, you have to play. Stop looking at where you are on the scoreboard. Stop comparing to everybody else. Get in the ring and play the game.
Nice. Yeah, it's easy to to boo from the sidelines, folks. Let them get on the pitch and play. Like, don't worry about what other people are saying if you are putting yourself out there. Next one I've got, we've kind of covered that about having an I can't mentality. It's replacing that with like a can do mentality, really, and also building a support system around you where you can ask for help. I think a lot of actors try and do this on their own, Matt. It's why I set up Act On This as a community. There's 1,000 members in there. Everyone's got each other's back. It really is a super inspiring, motivated place. You can ask a question any time of the day in our community hub. You'll get an answer. If you need a reader for your self-tape, you'll get somebody. You can jump on our weekly calls. Like, there's so much community that I just think is required for success. I think trying to do it on your own is so hard.
I agree. Nobody who ever achieved success at a high level got there on their own. Facts. Just facts. They didn't. It's always been around the team they built around them, and that team can be made from agents and things like that, or it can be communities, support, accountability, coaches, mentors. The more you can have a team around you that are on this mission with you, the higher chance of success. So yeah, 1,000,000,000%.
Love it. Next one was relying only on one method of doing something, or like one agent. I'm not saying go out and get loads of agents. I mean literally solely relying on your agent. If you're like, right, I've got my spotlight, I've got headshots, I've got an agent, I'm going to sit here and have a cake. It all feeds back into what we said today about being your own, marketing boss, basically putting yourself out there, taking on responsibility for your own life and career. If you're going to pay your agent 20%, you should be doing 80% of the work, basically. But equally, like, people can continue doing something that once worked, and when it stops working, they keep beating their head against the wall, doing the same thing again and again, going, I don't understand, this worked in 2021, why is it not working now? It's about staying curious. We know in business, what I was doing to bring members into the Act On This community in 2021 doesn't work today, because those tactics I was using back then, every man and his dog is using. People are like, I'm bored of this. Like, I'm seeing everybody do this. It's going, what can I do differently, or what can I do better? So I'm not just relying on the thing that I used to rely on,
Comes back to stay curious. But yeah, you've nailed that one. Nothing to add. That's spot on.
Stay curious. We cover this, really waiting for opportunities instead of creating them. So that's about creating your own work. Every director we ever get on is like, look, come on, you've got, what Diarmuid Goggins was saying last night, great TV director when we had him on Act On This. The replay will be in the members area, folks, later tonight. I'm going to upload it for those people who missed it. It'll be in your members area. If you're not a member, get a membership, you get access to it. But he was saying, how people, like, directors, casting directors, because, sometimes we like to employ people who we don't feel are desperate and really need us. It's like there's something quite alluring about someone who is hot off their own back, in terms of, like, you walk into an audition, maybe you've shot a short film yourself, it's been on the short film circuit, maybe it's won some awards, and you walk in, you've actually got something to talk about and something that people will know you from. Oh, you're the guy who did that film that I saw at the Bolton Film Festival. Oh my, I thought it was amazing, mate. And you're like, yeah, I'm literally not just sat here desperate for you to give me a job. People almost want.
That, didn't I?
You what?
I did actually produce a film.
You did do a film.
I thought you were just making up a random thing. But it
was
at Bolton Film Festival.
Yeah, no, I was making it up, but you actually did that. It's called Ashes, wasn't it? Ruth Madeley was in it.
Yeah, I was like, how does he remember that? I was like, I think I did that. I remember the picture with it saying Bolton Film Festival.
No, I did. I said that without even realising, but yeah, you did.
Yeah, you weirdo. I don't even remember that, but thanks for reminding me.
With BAFTA-nominated actress Ruth Madeley. Yeah, she was in your film, mate. So, he was saying, there's something very alluring about that. Whereas, and it is oversaid and it's cliched, folks. You'll have heard it loads of times, but that absolute desperation that just sort of like seeps out of your pores when you're like, I need this, or my life's over.
Stinks.
It repels people.
It does.
It's too needy.
Been rereading this book. It's a business book, but I recommend it for actors. Key Person of Influence by Daniel Priestley. It's only short.
I've never seen it.
It's not a big one. He talks about basically how to become a key person of influence in your industry. There's 5 key things that he covers in depth throughout the book. Just how to get more visibility, how to get more known.
Right.
So it is very much a business book. But interestingly, he speaks towards the end about examples of people he's helped by following this method. And one of them is his sister. and his sister wanted to be an actress. And he speaks about how the sister was like, oh, I want to be an actress. And him as a business person, it's all about profit and making money. And he was like, oh, God, there's so much rejection. There's so much failure. And he was really worried for her sort of thing. So he told her to apply this method as an actor and it would make you difference in the industry. He said, rather than just doing the stereotypical stuff of getting an agent and auditioning and, you know, being up against everybody else, he said, start your own business. I guess you've done it, actually. Yeah. And he said, start your own business where you produce stuff yourself. And I think I don't know if it was like a little film business she started or a theatre. I can't remember what it said now. But he said, lo and behold, not only is it really profitable, so she gets to perform and act every day in her own business, but through the work they've created, she's now become positioned as somebody to go after as an actor and a film director. And the industry now gives her opportunities. And I just thought, it just came to me then, what you were saying about think outside the box and don't just rely on one method of having an agent. Literally, key person of influence, Daniel Priestley. He's been on Stephen Bartlett a few times. He's been on recently. You might have seen him.
I didn't even know he did that book. That's
he has a sister who's an actress, and he literally told her that.
I wonder if I could get her on Act On This. I bet I could. That'd be a great.
I think she's based in. In London. I don't know when he wrote this book.
Oh, I thought you were going to say America, because that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I'm just interested in.
He's from Australia. But I think I know he lives, and I think she lives in London.
I think my mate Mark Darman knows him. I'm pretty sure. But yeah, I get it's doing
first
the thing
published 2011, so a long time ago.
Wow,
so I wonder where she's at now. She might be a failed actress. Maybe she's a bad guest, but it's worth looking into it.
What did it do for you? Absolutely nothing. Well, but no, I'm going to check that out. Definitely going to check that. It'll be interesting. I just think doing something that's going to differentiate you from 99% of the crowd, because most people are doing the same thing as everyone else, you know, and that's why I genuinely believe, folks, honestly. And again, I'm not shilling Act On This, but if you've got a membership, I just see it. If you join the calls and you act on the information that you're given from the horse's mouth, we bring the casting directors on, and I literally say, what would you do if you were an actor on this call to get in front of you as a casting director? I throw it back on them. I go, what would you do? Let's pretend you're on this call and you're an actor wanting to get in front of you. Knowing you, what would you do to get in front of you? And they break it freaking down. And if you just did that thing, you know, you would end up standing out above 99% of other people, because no one's doing it.
Yep.
And even the people, like you said before, who know the steps, they don't do it through lack of courage.
Because they need to work on the mindset.
How many people know, you know, how to get in shape, how to get a six-pack? We eat better. You know, we work out better. We, you know, calorie deficit. We basically burn. Well, you'll know more about this than me, mate, because you did all the bodybuilding stuff. But ultimately, we kind of know the basic principles around staying healthy.
Yep.
And yet, how many people still really, really struggle with that because they don't do the sit-ups? You can read about doing them as much as you want, but unless you go and you do them, and there might be better ways to get six-pack than doing sit-ups, but I don't know. But like, unless you're going to do something, you're never going to get the result. So, you know, what can you do?
And the thing that drives the action is this, which is why we're here today, and it's why we're doing the free training as well on Saturday, the 1st of March, because you can have the strategy all you want. You can read the books, and you should, like, you need the strategy, and you need to read the books. That's great as well. But the biggest thing is this, and that's the same for fat loss, for getting fitter, for earning money, for career progression, and for your acting business. It's your mindset.
Yep. Definitely. Act On This TV/mindset. Go get your free place on this training, folks, March the 1st. It'll literally send you your Zoom link right now. Just keep it safe. And there's even a calendar link where you can click it. It'll put it into your calendar for you automatically so you don't miss it. Right, very, very quickly, last two things. We'll just do 30 seconds on these. Okay. Focusing too much on external validation. It's about helping people build internal validation, basically. Staying connected to your why, I've put here. And just developing a bit of self-compassion sometimes as well, in terms of, you know, so that you're not just waiting for the people to give you a round of applause as an actor for you to feel good. It's like, how can you give yourself that compassion to keep going?
And I would just say, just a lot of people that have worked with us before and done Bulletproof Actor and things like that will know we speak about this, but it's the little things, the seemingly insignificant things, the little things that nobody else knows about but you know about. When you put your head on the pillow at night, like, do you know you gave your best, irrespective of what other people said or whether you got the job? Do you know there's nothing left in the tank? You did your best. Every day that you know that, that's a vote for internal validation. Actually, I'm proud of myself. Therefore, there's less need and less value and less weight on external validation. That's dynamite. When you can build that up, it's not about arrogance, it's about self-belief, self-confidence. There's a difference. That comes from internally validate yourself. There's a phrase that people say, success is an inside job. It's in here. It's not external. It's not outside.
Yeah, I agree with that. We spoke about that a lot in terms of the little votes you make for yourself behind the scenes that no one else ends up finding about. I can't speak. No one.
I've got to that point.
No one else ends up finding
out about. And that's the one for this, right? They go into depth about that, about those little votes. And it's all about your habits, your daily habits. I'm sure people, let us know in the comments if you know this book. A lot of people will do. But it's that thing of every decision you make is either a vote for you or against you. And that's on you, nobody else, no external stuff.
Yeah. Last one here. Well, I've actually got two. I missed one, Matt. But we'll do it dead quick. I put not investing in yourself and your career, and I mean that in terms of time and money. Ultimately, the two things. It requires both. It's going to require that time, and it is like there's a lot of actors who are very much vocal about this low pay, no pay. Equity. It was an equity slogan of like, I'm not doing anything unless I'm getting really well paid for it, blah, 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 blah. All this sort of stuff. And yet actors are the first people to complain about having to spend money investing in their career. And I'm like, well, hang on a minute. You're expecting everybody else to give you financial compensation for your services, and yet you're not putting any financial investment into anyone else's services to help you expedite that process.
Okay, so if you're an actor, you're a business, and literally any other business in the world knows you only get a return on investment. Simple. And that's not just time and energy and effort and passion, it's financial as well. So why have we got this thing in the acting industry that has got such a bad relationship with money and investing?
It is, yeah.
Why are we doing that? And if you're in the industry, please don't be one of those people. Like, you get out what you put in. And if you're wanting a career in acting and a well-paid career in acting, you have to invest in that. And if you want to continually grow in any business, you have to keep investing. You don't just make an investment for a few years. You know, a lot of people go to drama school, fair play, you know, that's an investment. You don't just invest a few $100,000 in your business in the first 3 years and then never invest again. Like in my businesses, we've got a couple combined on average, and it does fluctuate. We invest around £10,000 a week in marketing and my team and my wages. Costs us about 10 grand a week, not a month, a week in outgoings. Right? And I'm in my 15th year of business. So the investments don't stop if you want to keep growing, and it's just as simple as that. So you're a business. It's not a hobby. It's not a charity. It's a business. And a business is about return on investment. So you're going to get out what you put in. If you're expecting everything for free, then that's what it's worth.
You'll just end up living a really cheap life, effectively, if you won't invest. And you've got to be careful. We're not saying to invest 10 grand a week. You know, it's 15 years down the line, right?
Yeah,
you've got to be careful about what you invested in. There's a lot of shit out there.
Yes.
A lot of people who will take money off you and they'll give you no value at all. So you have to do your due diligence and your research. Totally. But ultimately, for me, the things that have really expedited my success in life, business, and this industry have been actually, investing relatively, decent chunks of money in the right things. The right people, the right kit, being around, the people who are 5 to 25 years ahead of me, who can really impart knowledge that will really speed up my success. So I start getting that return, because you want to get a return. Every time I go and I get new headshots, I'm thinking, okay, there's 200 quid. Before I even got them back, I know who I'm going to send them to first. I know which shots I'm going to need from that shoot, who I'm going to put them in front of, so that they're aligned with the projects that they're shooting or that they're casting. The types of projects, you don't always know exactly what they're casting, but there's certain casting directors known for certain things. And I'm like, this is a great shot to put in front of this person because they cast things that are aligned with this. Yeah. I'm not going, I'm going to spend 200 quid and just expect something, just see what happens. I'm quite specific on going, who are these for? Why am I doing this? This show reel scene that I'm going to get shot because I don't have material like this on my reel already. I'm not just going to put out there randomly and hope someone sees it. I know who I'm going to put it in front of because I want a freaking return. If I'm putting 400 quid into a show reel scene, I want a 5x return. I want to get a job that's worth a couple of grand at least. Because that's like the minimum you'll get as a day player on on an actual drama or a comedy, not serial drama, comedy. Most roles, if you get like 1 line, 2 lines, a scene or so in a Netflix show, an Amazon show, a BBC show where you're in a scene or two, you have maybe 3, 4, 5 lines, you're gonna get a couple of grand for that. So it's well worth going. I'm going to go and spend 400 quid on a showreel scene, knowing that it's in alignment with the stuff that this casting director, who you're desperate to get in front of, is casting. You know, a lot of that kind of work. If you're a brilliant comedian, you want to get in front of Rachel Freck or Nikki Bly or Rachel Sheridan because they cast massive comedy. Go shoot a comedy, and you know if you get it in front of them, you know, they're likely, if it's good, going to see you, and you're going to get a 5x return on your investment. We don't do it for a laugh and just to throw things, you know, into the ether and just hope someday someone will pay us. Like, invest to get a return.
Yeah, it's
ultimately.
about being specific. You're dead right. It's about being clear. It's about being specific. You know, there's a phrase in the mindset personal development world, which is, you know, are you doing self-development or are you doing shelf-development? And I think it's the same thing. Don't just keep buying books and courses and investing into stuff, but then not acting on them or not having a clear direction in where that's going to get you and why you're investing in it. So, yes, invest. Equally, do your due diligence, be careful, and know what you're investing in is aligned with the goals you want.
Yeah, definitely. This is the last one. Getting stuck in perfection, basically. So this is where people will go, I can't put this reel out there because it isn't absolutely perfect. Or, you know, I'm trying to think, like, maybe there's not really an excuse for not being able to write an email these days because, you know, there's a lot of tools out there that will just help you with your spelling and your grammar and your punctuation and all that sort of stuff.
A lot of it is just it's just that waiting for the right time or waiting to feel ready or waiting to feel good enough. And the reality is you never will. You never will. And I think Tony Robbins said it best when he said the lowest standard you can aim for in anything you do is perfection. Yep. Simply because it does not exist. There's always better. There's always, you could change this. You could have. There's never perfection. We're human beings. You know, in reality, being human is flawed, right? So there is no perfection. So stop aiming for perfection. Stop using it as an excuse. Stop using it to procrastinate. Get out of your own way and just take massive, specific action.
That's what it comes down to. We can sum this whole thing up, basically, folks, by just becoming more action-oriented. You know,
totally.
Just more proactive, action-based in your career this year, basically moving forward. I'm just going to put a couple of comments up that we've missed. Thank you, Patrick. That's really nice. So thanks so much for this. Utterly inspiring, generous, and informative. I love your passion and enthusiasm. We genuinely are really passionate about this stuff, Patrick, because for me, it really is the difference between success or failure for so many actors. I've been coaching actors now since 2010. Getting on for, you know, best part of 16 years, actually. I started building this site in 2009. And I've spent 40,000 hours, roughly more than that now, interviewing people in this industry, whether they're casting directors, agents, actors, writers, directors, producers. The archive on Act On This, for anyone who wants to get access to all of that content, there's about 400 hours worth. We keep a year's worth of content, basically, in the members area on actonthis.tv. So you'll get to watch back sessions with the biggest names in the game. They're already there, and you'll get to join us every single week with a new guest. But like you said before, Matt, the common denominator with all of them is that they've all focused on action. Taking more action than other people, you know, as opposed to sitting there waiting, waiting for stuff to happen. So, like, let this be your sign, basically, to go, right, you know, what more can I do? Because we can all do more. And it's not about burnout. It's not about, you know, pushing yourself to the point where you're ill. It's about accepting sometimes, like we said before, the season of life that you're in. And if you want more, you're going to have to put more in. Maybe you're going to have to, you know, choose, not sacrifice. You're going to have to choose to invest in certain things that you're not invested in right now.
And say no to other things as well.
Yeah. You know, and you'll feel more fulfilled. Well, you feel happy through that fulfillment, like you say, as opposed to pleasure. You'll feel a more sustainable happiness through fulfillment than just quick pleasures. So hopefully this has been useful for people. actonthis.tv/mindset. We're doing more of this. If you've enjoyed this, actonthis.tv/mindset. We're going to do another training on the 1st of March. It's on Zoom, so you'll actually be there and you'll be able to get involved, ask questions. We're going to cover 3 things, again, that we see actors struggling with. Very specifically, more specifically than we've covered today, because we're going to give you real solutions as well to some of these things. But we're going to look at really building authentic self-confidence, authentic self-belief. We're going to look at beating procrastination. Matt's going to walk you through a framework for actually smashing and annihilating procrastination so you can stop being busy and start being productive. And we're also going to look at dealing with anxiety. As I say, not clinical anxiety, we're not doctors, but if you just have this bubbling underlying sense of unease when you're going into high pressure environments like the audition room, like a self-tape environment, and you could be doing better, but you're sabotaging yourself. We're going to discuss that as well. We'll look at ways to beat that. And we also, those people who don't know, once a year, I'll just bring this up if I've got my web browser here. We actually run a really in-depth program that we'll talk more about on that free training actually as well. But at bulletproofactor.com, this is another website that I run with Matt as well. Matt's part of this. Bulletproofactor.com. If I bring this up here. Have you got that? That's on the screen? Yeah,
can see it. Yeah.
We do a program once a year. It's only for 50 people, and half the places have gone. So we've got about 25 spaces left. The doors close to this on when will it be? It'll be the week the end of the first week of March, basically. And then this is a 3-month program. If you go to bulletproofactor.com, you can read all about it, but it's literally the most in-depth mindset program, high-performance, science-backed mindset coaching program for actors like on earth, right? We cover every single part of your life, though. So it's not just about the acting industry. This is literally if you want to, have a happier, healthier, wealthier life in every part of your life, whether that's your career, your relationships, your physicality, your business, finances, emotional mastery, spirituality, everything. You can read all about it on here. There's over £1,000 worth of bonuses for people who get a place this time, but we keep it just to 50 people. You will become lifelong friends with people who do this program. We only do it once a year, but if you go to bulletproofactor.com, you can read all about it. You can play some testimonials out. There's Oscar-winning Rachel Shenton, who did the program with us a few years ago when I had the first version of this program. This is a brand new version of the program, much more in depth. You can play this video as well from other Bulletproof Actor alumni as well, and just hear from them how it's changed their career. There's Josh. He talks about how he, really sorted his mindset out. He landed a job on Emmerdale, then a job on Coronation Street. The guy's totally changed his career around by just getting hold of his mindset and his belief system and just, crushing those limiting beliefs that were holding him back. We've got live coaching in it. You're going to get 8 hours of live coaching. You get about 16 hours of pre-recorded coaching modules. We've got a Facebook group you'll be in for 3.5 months, a WhatsApp group you'll be in for 3 months. There's Dr. Aria, who you mentioned before. Matt gives away some bonus material that he's shot for his own company, Success School. There's payment plans on there, so you can spread the cost. You can pay up front if you want, and then you save money, you get it out of the way. But it's a game-changing program, and as we said at the start, mindset probably not the sexiest thing for people to think about, Matt, but it is absolutely freaking critical, for people's success, because you can have the talent. You can have the business acumen, but ultimately, if you don't have the resilience and the mental toughness to keep going, it's just pointless, isn't it?
I'd say it's the most important. It's not just critical. I think it's the number one. I really do. So if you're serious about being a successful actor and successful in life, how much are you investing into working on your mindset? Because it's just number one. It should be the most important investment. So yeah, it doesn't sound as exciting, but it's the most important. So we love it, and I don't think we're necessarily going to do it next year, are we? Just for diary wise and time wise.
Yeah, I don't know.
We're going to rest it.
Yeah, we did it last year. We created it the year before last. We took one group through it last year. We're doing one this year. But yeah, just in terms of other things that we've got going on, I mean, already sort of planning 2026 in February 2025. It might happen next year. So yeah, this might be the last intake for a couple of years. But it is, I swear to God, guys, it is game changing. If you are committed to leveling up, and also like if you just want to be action oriented, if this has resonated with you, and you're like, I do want to take more action, but I don't know the practical steps to actually get a grip on this. I want to work with you. I want you in the Act On This membership. Like, I want action takers because they're the most exciting people to work with. Like, I don't want people, like, if you're going to dabble and you're going to complain and you're going to give us a problem for every solution, as Matt said before, that's probably not the right program for you. But if you are like maybe a bit sick and tired of feeling sick and tired, if you're like, hang on a minute, I know I've got so much more in me to give to this industry and this world, they're the kind of people that we want on, because you make everything better for everyone else who's on the call as well. So bulletproofactor.com, check that out. actonthis.tv if you want to see the regular stuff we do weekly on the business side of the industry, and then actonthis.tv/mindset to get a free place on this training that we're going to do on Saturday the 1st of March. Amazing. Well, cheers for this, Matt. Should we do another one of these at some point?
I'm happy to. Yeah, I love talking about this. So if we can get the diary together, let's do some more. Yeah.
It's no, I would love to. I just get really, really passionate about it. It's Gary, your legend. Gary did the original one when we were back in like 2014, and he did Bulletproof Actor 2. He's done. I've done it twice. It's well worth doing. Nice one, Gary. But Gary, come back for a third time. We might offer some people from past intakes if they want to get a little bit of live coaching or something on this next one as well. But awesome. Well, cheers for this, Matt. What are you doing now, mate? You got more calls and stuff?
Oh no. I think I'm done for today. No, I have got a call. I've got It's not a. It's a call with my PR person, which is
okay.
something new that
I
I'm
don't
investing
have one of those. Do I need one of those now?
Depending on what your goal is, potentially yes.
Oh, right. Well, I don't
But
know.
I'll let you know how this goes because it's a new relationship. So if it works, I'll pass your details over. But I'm doing that, and then making some food. How about you?
I'm going to edit some subtitles for some micro content that producer Petch has edited for us from last night's call. As I say, we had Dermot Goggins on last night, so I'm going to get that ready. I'm just seeing if Petch has actually messaged me, and then I'm going to upload the replay for people. So if you are a member of Act On This and you weren't on that call last night with Dermot and you want to get on his radar, he's going to be directing some big TV this year. If you want to learn ultimately what he wants to see from you in your reel, how you can smash an audition with him, how you can work on set with him to really shine and work with him again, and you want his email address so you can drop him your show reel, get yourself in the members area. It'll be up there tonight, a little bit later, probably by 7 o'clock, I'd say. I'll have that uploaded. And please, again, just because I was a bit frustrated this morning, when we do give these email addresses out for these people, they're their personal email addresses, folks. Don't share them outside of the community. As I say, I found out this morning just because he screenshotted an email someone had sent him and I was like, they're not a member of Act On This. Someone shared the email outside of the community. Please do not do that. Like, it's just a bit of a what's the word? It's just like overstepping the line of trust there. I'm trusting you. Like, my reputation's on the line.
Yeah.
I'm telling these people, like, look, my members are cool. They're really proactive. They're motivated. They're top positive people. Like, don't give it to other people outside. Like, it's for you. It's for you. You're doing yourself a disservice as well, because why should people who are not part of the community get access to the stuff that you yourself are paying for?
Yeah.
So please don't share it. If you do get access to that, keep that to yourself, because I want to keep giving you these people's contact details, but I can't do it if they're just going to end up out there in the public domain for any Tom, Dick and Harry. That's just not fair. Enjoy that though. If you watch the replay, and do reach out to him when you've got your stuff together, because he's a top bloke, and you would like to hear from actors who have got value to offer. Amazing. Right. Well, this has been awesome, Matt. We'll definitely do this again at some point. Maybe next week we'll jump on again. And don't forget, come and join us for that training, folks. actonthis.tv/mindset. Right, go get on with your night. Take some bloody action, and we'll catch up with you soon. Until next time, Matt, you know what time it is. In 3, 2, 1.
Bye for
now. See you later, folks. Bye-bye.